I want you to read this and also read your textbook. So in Zen Buddhist art, you find these subject matters very often. Those are Zen patriarchs, like the founders of Zen Buddhism, and then the teachers, like Chinese, Japanese, and Korean teachers. And originally Zen patriarchs were Indians, right? Because it started in India. And then other enlightened individuals. Confucianism, they later expanded to like bamboo, plums, orchids, sort of a scholarly symbols. Painting styles become more important. Like Zen, there are Zen Buddhist styles. You will see this in visual art. They want to discover this wabi and sabi, and this is the feeling of rusticity, like something not so sophisticated, as if it's like a rock on the road, or melancholy, like wild flowers in the middle of the field, right? They are fragile, right? If somebody tramps on it, they will die, right? Those kind of melancholic loneliness and naturalness. It's not like really well-made artificial things. It's opposite to it. Stimulate the mind and emotions to contemplate the essence of reality. So this is what I was saying. Reality doesn't change, right? Or even the natural surroundings, it doesn't stay the same all the time. You have to observe that it's winter time, it's a springtime, right? If you observe it, but the most important non-changing essential is yourself. I mean, it's not your body. What I'm saying is your spiritual self. During Muromachi period, you have several pictorial representations like this. So these are all Zen Buddhist painting, and the most famous person is Sesshu. So I want you to remember this name, Sesshu. He was originally a samurai, but he entered Buddhist monastery out of his own will. He wanted to be a Buddhist monk, and then he became excellent painters of these Zen Buddhist styles. This is what you are going to see. Usually monochrome ink painting called sumie. You are going to see the word sumie, meaning water and ink painting. He uses that the ink washes very inventive way, so that it's the same ink wash, right, from the same ink stone, but some looks like a tree branches, some looks like a house. You also see a boat and a person, a fisherman over here, and then you also see cliff with some trees, and then all the way in the background you are going to see big mountains in the far distance, shadowed by the fogs, right? Like a lake or a river, you always have some mist and fogs. So he can represent this kind of images. And he didn't call this as landscape. What did he say? Splashed ink. That's the reality of it. But the viewers, we don't recognize it as just the ink. We recognize this as a landscape painting, right? So Zen Buddhism always questions what we take for granted. And then this is his name, Sesshu. So it's not his real name, it's his pen name. He came up with this poetic name, and this means snow boat. How poetic that is. He himself is, people's life is like a boat on the river, right? Like you flow and influenced by the wave, but his is a snow boat. So lonely and pure, because the snow is pure. This one is really, really important painting. So this is about Bodhidharma, and then he's a student to Fuika. You are going to see his name Fuika here. And then this is Sesshu Toyo's signature and his seal. And who is Bodhidharma? Look at these two men. Who looks more like an Indian style, sort of a foreign person? Well, this is Bodhidharma, and Bodhidharma is here. So he's an Indian monk, and who is the founder of Zen Buddhism. And then this is Fuika, a Chinese monk. Fuika is going to succeed Bodhidharma. Bodhidharma's Zen Buddhism in China. So Bodhidharma was meditating and practicing in India, but then through Central Asia, he came to China. So his method of meditation is he's looking at the world sort of inside a cave, and he didn't speak any word for how many years? Here, facing a wall for 9 years, he didn't speak any word, and he didn't sleep either. You see these big eyes? Yeah, so sleep deprived. He really didn't sleep. He may doze off, 10 minutes here and there, but he didn't sleep at all. Day and night, he will stare at this wall and not communicating with others. But these kind of people also need assistance because he cannot eat at all, right? And he still has to eat and drink. So Huike wanted to learn that enlightenment directly from Bodhidharma. So he went to the mountain, became an assistant, and then, of course, he wanted to learn, right? He wanted to ask a question and learn. Bodhidharma still ignored him because he's not talking at all. So one day, after spending several years, one day, he had an urgent question. So what did he say? He asked something, and then Bodhidharma didn't really care or responded. Huike stood outside like a cave in the snow for all night long, and in the morning he brought something that is right here. So what did he bring? Top of the handkerchief, he brought his severed arm. He cut his own arm and brought it to him, and as a token of his seriousness. A lot of people have some problems, right? Like you should not harm yourself, right? But this is his way of showing his urgent quest. So Bodhidharma sits facing the wall, and Huike stands in the snow and presents his severed arm to Bodhidharma. He cries, "My mind is not pacified, Master. Pacify my mind." Bodhidharma says, "If you bring me that mind, I will pacify it for you." Successor says, "When I search my mind, I cannot hold it." Bodhidharma says, "Then your mind is pacified already." So the moral of the story is, your mind is already clean and pure. There is no dust. So this is what is called Zen Buddhist inquiries. Usually a lot of anecdotes of these successors gaining that enlightenment, like that, very important realization, comes like this. They are already doing this, but at one moment, as if they are hit by a hammer or something, he realized that, oh, so that was what I have to recognize. So he wanted to have a pacified mind, and he was struggling with it. But then Bodhidharma said, "You already have that pacified mind." Eagerness, right, or the passion for learning is as great as somebody's willpower to sever their own arm or harm their own bodies. So they do a lot of eccentric things in order to come to realizations. But Bodhidharma is really famous for not talking, sitting here, and it's not even 9 years. Like in one section of his life, he didn't talk for 12 years, like this. But anyhow, Sesshu only used ink and brush, but you can see that he can create this type of textured rock cave, right? Like it's rough rock cave, versus he used the same ink, but it's just around a few brushes. Look, like a 1 stroke, 2 stroke, maybe 3, right? And then 4, 5, 6, 7. In less than 12 strokes, he created a man, an adult man, crouching in the cave, right? And then this is his brush. Or he can also make this really refined, descriptive facial features.